Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show is I'm going to look at some Raiders 2023 breakouts. Every single year I try to do these type of shows because at my heart of hearts, I've always been a big fantasy football guy. And no, there's not going to be just offensive players. But in terms of what is exactly a breakout player, I get asked this question on social media, so I'm just going to tell you the way that I'm going to define it right now. To me, it's a player who's about to have a career season. There might be dudes that you're like, that guy's already broken out. And I hear you loud and clear. However, though, if he's about to have the best season that he has ever had as a professional, breaking out onto the scene into the NFL, that's what I consider a breakout. So let's go to the first name here on my breakouts list. It is Trevon Maring. This is a little bit of wishful thinking, considering the fact of when he was first coming out of college out of TCU, he was the best defensive back safety in the entire class, and he struggled with a little bit of injuries, which is why he fell down in the draft. However, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this is going to be the year. He's entering his third year, and a lot of times when you hear the way NFL players talk, it's rookie season, you got a lot to learn. Second season, all right, now you're getting your feet wet. The third year, a lot of times, is known as the breakout season. This is also going to be the second year for him in the Patrick Graham defense. So a lot of the times when you're a young player, again, like I just mentioned, a lot of different things to learn. He had to learn a Gus Bradley defense. He had to learn a Patrick Graham defense. And now for the first time in his NFL career, he gets to learn the exact same defense. That's a huge, huge win for any type of young player, and I really, truly believe you're going to see this year a versatile safety that Moehrig is, and I'm hoping he gets a little bit more help up front, which then, he doesn't have to get roasted in the back, giggity. I do think, though, you're going to see him for the first time be that top safety that the Raiders were hoping that they drafted out of TCU. From a numbers standpoint, from 2021 to 2022, a rookie sophomore season, it looks like he's about locked into getting another 55 tackles. The PBU's very similar. The interceptions, obviously, as a rookie, it was better. But the completion percentage and the quarterback rating. For Moehrig last year, he was a big-time problem. For a quarterback to have a rating of 129.7, that was one of the worst in the NFL. So big-time step up coming here for Trevon Moehrig. So what I want you to do, if maybe the first time you've ever come across a Raiders show here, is we're an interactive show. So this is actually going to be the pinned comment on today's Breakout Candidates video, which means you're going to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down and give me a breakout player for the Raiders in 2023. One of the most common names that I expect to see from that question is Nate Hobbs. The Raiders found themselves a diamond in the rough in the NFL draft just 2 years ago, and he was a top 5 slot corner as a rookie coming out of Illinois. He showed unbelievable athleticism, and the great thing about the Bradley system is, and still, I guess, was for the Raiders, you don't have to think as much. You can just go out there and be an athlete. I love his versatility and his ability to play on the outside, his ability to play on the inside. I can make a legitimate argument that he could start at either of those positions. It just matters of how some of the other Raider cornerbacks end up stepping up. It's also going to be his second season in the Patrick Graham system, and when you watch the tape of Hobbs, he was a lot different last season before the injury compared to after the injury sustained by the Chiefs. I don't know if they rushed him back too much. I don't know if he was out of football shape or what it was exactly, but there were two definite, clear differences to me of what I saw from Hobbs earlier in the year and then especially as a rookie, because I'm telling you, as a rookie, he was one of the best corners in the NFL. Numbers, they don't lie. 74 tackles compared to 72. And some of you are like, well, he missed a lot of games this past season. Sometimes it's not always great to have a lot of tackles as a corner because there's a reason why you're tackling somebody. I look at the completion percentage. I look at the quarterback rating. For a rookie to have a completion percentage against them at 82.3 in the slot, it is a little bit high. But a QB rating of 92.1, just because you're catching the football, doesn't mean you're doing anything with it. I expect big, big things for Hobbs and Moehrig. And if both of those players are able to break out, shit, we might actually have a top 20 defense. If you love the Las Vegas Raiders, then, and hey, hit that subscribe button. Videos every single day, even when I'm on vacation in Cancun. I do want to give a huge shout out to Mercedes Renz. Shout out to The L. Davis, man. Daily videos. We got weekly live shows, tons of content, even in the offseason. If you bleed silver and black, let me prove to you why we're the #1 most watched Raiders channel in the world. Let's go to now for somebody who, if you do play a lot of fantasy football, I'm telling you right now, Austin Hooper is going to be a tight end that I want you to keep on your radar for a multitude of reasons. I liked Hooper a lot when he was with the Atlanta Falcons, got lost with the Cleveland Browns, and he went to Tennessee, and they don't really use their tight ends down there. So here's his opportunity. He's going to have the opportunity to be the tight end 1/tight end 1A next to Michael Mayer. Did they trade up to get Mayer? Do they like him? Yes, they absolutely do. But the learning curve for a tight end entering year one, it's very high. And you go back and you look at some of the tight ends in year one, they don't quite put up the numbers that a lot of people expect them to put up. So for Jimmy Garoppolo, he's always, heavily targeted tight ends. And Hooper, to me, could be that fourth option in the offense. I do still see Hunter Renfrow getting traded. So if it's Davante Adams, if it's Josh Jacobs, if it's Jakobi Meyers, and then that's Austin Hooper, I mean, you might be looking at 75, 80 targets, and Hooper's has always had a pretty high successful catch rate. Most tight ends do. You combine that with Jimmy Garoppolo's ability to always target the tight end, Hooper is going to have himself a solid year. Now, I'll admit, I know when I started the show off, I said a career year. He's not probably going to get quite up to the 75 grabs, the 787 yards like he had with Atlanta. But I do think for Raider fans, and I do think he's about to re-break out into the NFL as being, at one time, he was regarded as one of the best pass-catching tight ends in the league. It would not surprise me if he gets around 55 to 60 catches this season. It might seem high, but that's what I know that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to do. From a snap standpoint over the last 3 seasons, Raider fans probably just want a tight end that can get out there on the field. I don't blame you. I know Darren Waller wasn't the most reliable. Foster Moreau battled several different injuries, and there was at times where Jesper Horsted was the Raiders' top tight end. Austin Hooper goes out there. He's going to play. He's going to be able to compete, and he's going to do it next to Michael Mayer. Before I get into my other 2 breakouts, we've had some of these shirts, man. They've been popping off, and if you want to get yours right now, go to chatsports.com/corn. That link's going to be available for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's show. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. I had to film this video before I went to Cancun. Saw the story about Mookie Betts with the whole eats corn the long way thing. I'm curious if that was a Raider, but if you want to get your hands on Josh McDaniels eats corn the long way t-shirt, it's available at the link below. Let's go to the next name here for a breakout candidate. Raiders Report fan Jermaine Eluemunor. And the reason why I'm going to put Eluemunor on here is he might not insert himself giggity as a top 20 offensive lineman, but I do really think that he's going to break out for a lot of Raider fans. For whatever reason, I don't feel like nearly enough of the nation puts respect on Eluemunor's name, considering the fact of how good of a job he did last season for the Silver and Black. He's going to be the Raiders' starting right tackle. He can also play right guard if needed. When we interviewed him, he said, yeah, he would probably do it if need be, but he wants to stay out at tackle for the simple fact of he knows he's going to get a little bit more. Eluemunor also has dropped, from what I understand, 15 pounds is the last thing that he told me, and he's motivated to not only prove to the nation, but prove to the NFL that he can be a great offensive lineman. When the Raiders re-signed him, he said that him and Colt Miller are going to be the best offensive tackle duo in the NFL. I hope that's true. I know Eluemunor told me that he's trying to get down to 320 pounds to stay a little bit more nimble on his feet. That way he's better against some of those really legit pass rushers that you're going to see in today's NFL. But to me, Eluemunor really stepped up last season because when you're blocking next to Alex Bars, you have a lot more responsibility. In 940 snaps, an overall grade of 75 according to PFF. 76.1 pass blocking, a run blocking grade of 75.7. When we interviewed him on the show, we asked him, all right, how are you going to clean up the penalties? 10 costly penalties for him, and that's, to me, the biggest knock on Eluemunor's game. If you can trim up those penalties to half of that, I think that's really going to help your sack totals. The hits allowed, the pressures, it all goes into it. So if Eluemunor can really improve the mental side of it, get his body into the shape that we know that it can get in. He loves Carmen Bracillo. He likes this offensive lot. sky's the limit for Jermaine Eluemunor. We got one more name here for our Raiders breakout candidates list. And if you want to interact with me on social media, hopefully you all know where to find me at this point. And then also on locals as well for extra live content. The final name on my Raiders breakout list is Maxx Crosby. And some of you are like, well, wait a minute. Hasn't Max already broken out? Yes. He's going to be a top 20 player, I believe, in the whole NFL top 100 list. However, I said career year. This is going to be the year. Raider Nation loves Crosby. And I would say if you asked 100 Raider fans, I'm going to say 50 of them say Crosby's their favorite player. It might even be higher. But you know what? For whatever reason, he still gets disrespected by the NFL because I don't really think that nearly enough people know how great he truly is. I'm going to say by the end of this season, the NFL, the world, people who watch football, even if you're in London like Martin out there, people are going to look at Crosby as being the number one defensive end edge rusher in the league. He has the most quarterback pressure since 2021 with 182, and honestly, it's not close. Crosby's going to surpass 15 sacks, and that's been the knock. He can't get the high-digit sack numbers. You know why? Because he's never had any help. I'm hoping that the defensive line finally steps up. I'm hoping that Patrick Graham puts him in the right situations because he's one of the most incredible players that this Raiders team has had in quite some time. Unbelievable motor, hustles his freaking you-know-what off, long, lanky, and I really want the future of the Raiders pass rush to be Maxx Crosby and Tyree Wilson. So if Wilson's able to get back to 100%, you kick him into the inside. Chandler Jones plays the way that you were hoping. Your defensive tackle room's not one of the worst in the league. I'm telling you right now, Maxx Crosby will have over 15 sacks this upcoming season. So before I head on out of here, if you guys want, take a screenshot, post this on Twitter, post that on IG. Let me know what you think of my Raiders 2023 breakouts. And every year that I do this show, I always know that I'm going to forget a name. So you know what? Here's your opportunity. Let me know the name that I let off the list of my Raiders 2023 breakouts.